For thousands of years, the galaxy had been governed by an ancient alliance of powerful civilizations known as the Galactic Assembly. These species had mastered technologies far beyond anything a young civilization could imagine. They built cities in orbit around stars, traveled across entire star systems in moments using advanced, faster-than-light drives, and possessed weapons capable of shattering moons. Their histories stretched back tens of thousands of years, and many of them believed the galaxy was already understood and organized. Every developing world was cataloged, observed, and classified. Among the countless stars they monitored was a small blue planet orbiting an ordinary yellow star on the far edge of a quiet spiral arm. The inhabitants of that planet called it Earth. To the Assembly, however, it was simply another primitive world with a young and chaotic species that would take centuries to become irrelevant in galactic affairs. Alien probes had been observing Earth for generations. They watched humanity progress slowly through the stages of civilization: agriculture, kingdoms, industrial revolutions, and global communication networks. The observers recorded everything in enormous data archives. Their conclusions were consistent and dismissive. Humans were fragile creatures with short lifespans and unpredictable emotions. They fought wars among themselves and seemed incapable of maintaining lasting unity. Their technology advanced quickly, but lacked the elegance and efficiency of older civilizations. Most alien scholars predicted humanity would destroy itself long before reaching the stars. In official Assembly records, humanity was labeled a developing species of low strategic significance. In simple terms, they were not taken seriously. But what the Assembly failed to understand was that humanity had evolved on one of the most hostile inhabited worlds in the known galaxy. Earth was a planet of extremes: powerful storms, violent earthquakes, dangerous predators, and diseases that had wiped out entire populations throughout history. Survival on Earth required constant adaptation. Humans had never lived in a stable or predictable environment. Instead, they learned to improvise, experiment, and rebuild after disaster. Their civilizations rose and fell repeatedly, but every collapse made them stronger and more resilient. This endless cycle of struggle created something rare in the galaxy, a species that learned rapidly from failure rather than fearing it. Everything began to change when human astronomers started detecting unusual signals from deep space. At first, the transmission seemed like random cosmic noise, but over time, patterns emerged that could not be explained by natural phenomena. Scientists realized the signals were structured communications created by advanced technology. Humanity had just discovered proof of extraterrestrial intelligence. Governments around the world reacted with a mixture of excitement and fear. If alien civilizations existed, there was no guarantee they were friendly. The signals suggested something even more unsettling. Many of the transmissions resembled tactical communications between fleets engaged in large-scale battles somewhere in distant star systems. Humanity realized that the galaxy might already be full of powerful civilizations fighting wars far beyond Earth. That realization triggered a transformation in human priorities. Nations that once competed fiercely for power suddenly understood that survival might depend on unity and technological advancement. Massive resources were poured into space exploration, propulsion research, artificial intelligence, and advanced physics. Scientists studied theoretical faster-than-light travel methods that had once been considered impossible. Progress accelerated rapidly as humanity's best minds worked together toward a common goal. Within only a few decades, human engineers achieved something that stunned the alien observers secretly monitoring Earth. They successfully tested a primitive, faster-than-light drive. It was unstable and inefficient compared to alien technology, but it worked. Humanity had taken its first step beyond the solar system far earlier than the Assembly predicted. When the first human exploration ships jumped to nearby star systems, alien observers began paying closer attention. The speed of humanity's technological growth was unusual. Most civilizations progressed gradually over centuries, but humans seemed to advance in unpredictable bursts. Their early ships were crude compared to those of ancient species, yet human engineers constantly modified and improved them after each mission. Failures were common, but humans treated every failure as a lesson. Each generation of ships became stronger, faster, and more reliable. Within 50 years, humanity established small colonies in several nearby star systems. The Galactic Assembly acknowledged the achievement, but still did not consider humans an important power. To them, humanity remained a young civilization, far from matching the stability and sophistication of older species. However, events soon unfolded that would change the balance of the entire galaxy. From the unexplored regions of deep space emerged a powerful and terrifying force known as the Zerath Collective. Unlike most civilizations in the galaxy, the Zerath had no interest in diplomacy or alliances. Their culture revolved entirely around expansion and domination. They believed only the strongest species deserved to exist. Wherever their fleets traveled, destruction followed. Entire planetary systems were conquered or annihilated. Civilizations that had flourished for thousands of years disappeared within months. The Galactic Assembly attempted to negotiate at first, but the Zerath responded only with overwhelming military force. Their ships were heavily armored, their weapons devastating, and their fleets coordinated with ruthless efficiency. As the Zerath advanced across the spiral arm, even the oldest and most powerful civilizations began to struggle. The mighty Craft Dominion, famous for its ancient warrior traditions, fought several major battles but lost enormous numbers of ships. The luminous Aurelian fleets attempted defensive strategies using advanced energy technologies, yet the Zerath adapted quickly and broke through their lines. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Assembly faced the possibility that it might not survive. Entire regions of space were evacuated as worlds prepared for invasion. While the great powers of the galaxy were focused on defending their core territories, the Zerath scouts discovered something unexpected: a cluster of systems belonging to a newly emerged civilization, human space. To the Zerath commanders, the discovery seemed insignificant. The species occupying those systems had existed on the galactic stage for only a short time. Their fleets were small compared to those of ancient empires. Their technology appeared experimental and inconsistent. The Zerath concluded that conquering human territory would be quick and easy. They dispatched an invasion fleet to seize the Alpha Centauri system, expecting minimal resistance. What they encountered instead surprised them more than any enemy they had faced before. Human fleets did not fight according to traditional galactic doctrines. Most alien civilizations relied on centuries of refined battle strategies that emphasized precise formations and calculated maneuvers. Human commanders, however, operated very differently. Their tactics were flexible, aggressive, and often unpredictable. Human ships moved rapidly in scattered groups instead of rigid formations, constantly changing direction and attack angles. Human pilots took risks that other species would consider reckless. Rather than waiting for perfect conditions, human commanders made decisions in seconds and adapted their plans during battle. The Zerath fleet, which relied heavily on predictable engagement models, struggled to respond to this chaotic style of warfare. The Battle of Alpha Centauri lasted 6 intense hours. When it finally ended, half of the Zerath ships were destroyed or severely damaged. The remaining vessels retreated to regroup. Across the galaxy, observers watching the battle recordings were astonished. A young species that had barely entered interstellar space had successfully repelled a powerful invasion force. Analysts studying the engagement realized that humanity possessed a rare strategic advantage. Because their civilization was young and constantly evolving, their military doctrine had not become rigid or predictable. Human commanders were trained to improvise rather than follow strict rules. This adaptability allowed them to respond to new threats faster than older civilizations that relied on centuries-old strategies. The Zerath returned soon afterward with a much larger fleet determined to crush human resistance. Several human colonies were attacked, and the losses were devastating. Cities were destroyed, and millions of civilians were forced to evacuate. Many species in the galaxy expected humanity to collapse under such pressure, but the opposite happened. The attacks united the human worlds with an intensity that surprised alien observers. Entire industries shifted to wartime production. Asteroid mining operations expanded rapidly to supply raw materials for shipbuilding. New shipyards were constructed in orbit around multiple planets,